So hi, in today's video we're going to learn about carbohydrates, and these are just compounds that are made up of carbon, hydrogen and oxygen in the ratio of 1 to 2 to 1. So they have a general formula of CH2O in brackets N, where N is the number of carbons. And then they are grouped into three categories. We have monosaccharide, we have disaccharides, and we have polysaccharides. So I'll want to start with monosaccharides. So monosaccharides are the simplest carbohydrates, and they include glucose, fructose, and galactose. Their general formula is C6, hydrogen 12, and oxygen 6. So what are the properties of monosaccharide? 1, they have a sweet tasting. 2, they readily dissolve in water. And 3, they are crystallizable. And lastly is that they are reducing sugars. And that means that monosaccharide reduce blue copper 2 sulfate in a Benedict solution to red-brown copper 1 oxide when heated. So something you really need to note also is that most fruits are sweet tasting because they contain a lot of monosaccharides. Then we need to define what is condensation. It's just a process that involves linking up of two or more simple molecules to form a complex molecule and water molecule. So if we want to make a more complex carbohydrates, then we have to link them up together. Then what are the function of monosaccharides? 1, they are a chief respiratory substrate. 2, they are broken down to release energy. And 3, they condense to form a complex carbohydrates. So that's all about monosaccharides. Let's go to disaccharides. So they're formed by linking two monosaccharides unit through condensation. And then number 2, their general formula is C12H22, and then oxygen is 11. Examples here include maltose, sucrose, and lactose. So maltose, you can get them in germinating seeds. Sucrose, you can get them in fruits and sugarcane. And then lactose, you can get them in milk, basically milk. Now, this is how the formula looks like when we are condensing them to form the disaccharides. We combine glucose and glucose to get maltose through condensation. We combine glucose and fructose to get sucrose, and then we combine glucose and galactose to get lactose. So what are the properties of disaccharides? 1, they are sweet tasting. 2, they are crystallizable. 3, they are water soluble, and they are reducing sugars. So that means they reduce copper 2 ion to copper 1 ion in a Benedict solution when heated, right? So another thing you need to know is that they can be broken down into constituted monosaccharides through hydrolysis. So we'll have to define what is hydrolysis. So hydrolysis is just a process through which complex molecules are broken down in the presence of water molecules. Hydrolysis is carried out by enzyme biologically, but hydrolysis in laboratory is carried out by boiling the disaccharide in a dilute acid, for example, hydrochloric acid. So what are the function of disaccharides? 1, they are hydrolyzed into monosaccharides and respired on to yield energy. And 2, they are soluble and inert in nature. And this is a form in which carbohydrates are transported in most plants. So the last one is polysaccharide, and these are formed through linking up of numerous monosaccharides, and that's the reason we refer to them as poly. Poly means many. So we actually link up numerous monosaccharides through just a process of condensation. General formula for polysaccharide is C6H10 and oxygen has 5. The N number refers to a very large number. So properties of polysaccharides include 1, they are non-sweet. 2, they do not dissolve in water. And 3, they are non-crystallizable. And lastly is that they are non-reducing sugars. Examples of polysaccharides include 1, starch, and starch is made up by linking numerous glucose molecules, and this is a form in which carbohydrates are stored up in plants. Then we have glycogen, is a storage carbohydrates in the liver and muscles of animal, and most of the time are broken down into glucose in animal when the blood glucose falls. Then we have cellulose, is a structural polysaccharide in plants and mostly a component of cell wall. And lastly is chitin, a structural carbohydrate found in cell wall of fungi and arthropod exoskeletons. Then what are the function of polysaccharides? One is that they are storage carbohydrates, and their insolubility and inertness makes them actually ideal for storing carbohydrates. And lastly, they are structural carbohydrates, e.g., cellulose, and lastly can be broken down, hydrolyzed into monosaccharides, and can be basically broken down to release energy.